Hi, my name is Troy Ott, and this is Making a Christian Leader, and this is my leadership reflection. So today I just want to share what I learned from the interview, and just it's not a recap, but it's an honest reflection of leadership, trust, and growth, especially of how it applies to me going forward. So when I started thinking about who I should talk to, it really kind of landed on Matt Breitenberg. And Matt Breitenberg was my co-lead pastor, well, actually is my co-lead pastor, and I was employed for him for 6 years. I was his director of safety and security. And our last business conversation was in a room where we ended our work relationship by me being dissatisfied with his leadership and him being dissatisfied with my administrative abilities. And when I left, and I just kind of questioned my leadership and my actual work ethic, I kind of was upset at him for his leadership. And I felt like this was an opportune time to just ask some questions and get some really good feedback. So when I went into it, I prepared questions, I recorded it, and I went in with a good conversation. I was glad that I was in charge. You see, Matt is somebody I deeply respect. He's a kind person. He has a great family. I love his family, and I respect him as a leader. What stands out most is his core values. He told me his core values are consistency and trustworthiness. And without, even if I had met him once, I would have known that. In fact, Kouzes and Posner described this in modeling the way. Leaders, they clarify their values and they live them consistently. And Matt does nothing but that. In fact, he's so consistent that that's what endears me to him. Another thing he does well is he inspires a vision. Now, he's a visionary guy. When our church was on Shore Drive, it was a tiny church in a little shopping center. It was in an abandoned grocery store, and they were meeting week to week, and they had good membership, and there was a lot of questions, should we move? And he kept reminding them that we were called to be a light into the community, and he just got everyone together. He communicated them, and in the end, he pointed them to our new location, and that just served for them to move to there and to get 2 more locations. So that vision, it was always together, and that's something that he did. And Matt communicates vision repeatedly. He gets people together. He kind of described his process as, sharing the vision and then getting those key players into position, and then anyone else who doesn't understand, he just keeps walking them through until they understand where they align, and that repetition, that creates alignment. And when I think about my own leadership style, I kind of mirror Matt. I'm definitely a visionary, but I don't communicate well. In fact, I kind of under-communicate. I kind of want to go straight from vision to execution and drag everyone kicking and screaming with me. In fact, that's kind of like the way I see it. It's like, we're going to go this way. And I try to get everybody excited, hype them up. And then whoever's not hyped, we're going regardless. It's pandemonium. Kind of matches my ADHD personality, but it's kind of not good. In fact, it kind of helps people not want to be a part of that. It causes confusion, causes everything, and I end up leading myself, and that's no good. A leader leading himself is just self-led, and that's not a leader. Another thing Matt does well is he enables others to act. See, and enabling others to act, Kouzes and Posner, they say that they emphasize sharing power and building trust. Here's me doing everything myself. Matt's sitting back and going, hey guys, you're the leader. You're the subject matter. You're the SME, the subject matter expert. What's it going to take to get us into this next step? He trusts them. He gives them the leadership and the resources to get there. In fact, he told me one of the biggest mistakes leaders make is telling somebody to get there with nothing. You got to resource them. Don't give them everything, but you got to give them enough to get there. He doesn't require them to lead exactly like him. He lets them go about in the way they need to do it. And that's how you build trust and confidence. I have a hard time letting go of that. I don't trust everybody because I never feel like people can do it exactly the way I want it done. I'm not the only genius in the room. In fact, I'm probably not the genius if I can't trust other people who are geniuses. Because I don't trust people, I default to doing it. I don't build the ability to do more things. In fact, I just constrain myself and I restrain others. It just gives weak outcomes, and I need to strengthen others. And one of the most meaningful comments Matt made, you see, it comes down to encouraging the heart. That's another thing that Kuzma Posner said, that leaders, they recognize contributions and they affirm people. And Matt said, Troy, you're a galvanizing personality. People are drawn to you. They want to be on your team. They want to be what you're a part of. And I'd never heard anybody say that before. In fact, I've heard the opposite sometimes. Nobody wanted to be around me. This built a lot of confidence. I had never said somebody say people want to be around you and people want to be led by you. See, there's a little bit of irony here. When I came down to my last question, I went to Matt and I said, Matt, what piece of leadership advice could you give me? And he said, I wasn't looking for validation, but I was definitely looking for an honest perspective. And Matt said, Troy, everybody wants to be around you, but you're kind of not good at administrative. In fact, earlier in the interview, he said that was one of his weaknesses. It's kind of funny. We're looking at ourselves in the mirror. And what he said was, I put good, strong administrative people around me. And he said, Troy, you need strong leadership people. He didn't say change. He didn't say go learn a bunch of administrative stuff. He said, Troy, surround yourself with administrative people. Let them bear that burden. And in that moment, Matt was my leader once again. When I was in the room, I had lost my trust and confidence in him. He wasn't trustworthy to me because he didn't do what he said he would do. He wasn't consistent. And at the end of the interview, he was exactly that. He acknowledged his own limitations, he acknowledged mine, and he gave me a good piece of advice that I can take with me further. Craig Rochelle told us that leaders aren't called to be great at everything, they're just called to build teams around their strengths. That's good advice. See, when I first defined leadership, I said that leadership was providing purpose, direction, and motivation for people through Christ. And I still stand by that. I think that's exactly what it is, for purpose, direction, and motivation. But it's through direction. The purpose requires clear communication. The direction requires shared understanding. And motivation lasts when people are trusted and developed. See, Jesus did it. Jesus did it perfectly. He was a servant leader. Jesus prepared the disciples, and he said, go into all the world, teaching and preaching the gospel. He said to them in John 14:12, he said, you'll do more than I will do. Verily, truly, I tell you, whoever believes in me will do the works I've been doing. In fact, they'll go on to do greater works. And that's what a leader does. A leader puts the people in front of him or her, and they do greater things than they ever did. And that's what I want to be as a leader.